So, good day, everyone. I am Matt Harrison, and you are listening to the Geary Cast, the Malaga fan podcast for all the Gearys out there. It's a little bit of a different podcast here because we are recording this just moments after Malaga have taken on Mirandes. My emails have been flooded today with all different sort of things I've signed up for, telling me it is Blue Monday. I had a shitty Saturday because my other team, Swansea, lost to Cardiff City. I was hoping Malaga could cheer me up today, but they have made this Monday very blue indeed. And in fact, it's been quite red and black as Mirandes have won 3-2 against Malaga. I'm joined just moments after we finished the live stream by Nick Bell. Nick, how are you doing on this Blue Monday?
I'm tragically depressed right about now. So it's not good. I thought a bit of a Malaga uplift to make it a true Blue Monday would have been nice, but Michelli had other ideas.
Yes, I'm sure we'll discuss whether pancelli sounds like bread, pasta. We've had this discussion on the live stream a lot. I scrambled to get a live stream working after I had some technical issues, but got there in the end. Nick joined us quite late as well. But here from the start tonight was Luke Chambers. Luke Chambers, how are you?
It's been one of the longest shifts of my life. I also, like Nick and probably yourself, came into this game quite excited. A live stream, Monday night football, something a bit different. But one, I don't think it was a good game. And more importantly, I don't think it was a good Malaga performance.
Yeah, absolutely agree, which I'm sure we'll discuss as we go through the pod. Just quickly, we've not got as much as usual because we usually open the podcast with the latest news. So obviously we're recording this on a Monday now where not that much has happened, but we will do the preview pod later in the week. We do have our resident Zaragoza fan joining us on Thursday, so definitely come back and listen to that podcast. We'll do a little bit of news and forgive me because obviously some of this we just mentioned on the 90 minutes plus we've just recorded on the live stream. Let's just do the two quick ones. Musa has signed a new contract till 2028 and he has gone on loan to Marbella. I think we discussed, Nick, that seems quite good.
Yeah, like say we mentioned it earlier, but he's obviously a very talented player, still very young as well in the grand scheme of things. And for me, he's one that Malaga definitely need to consider for the future. And locking him down to a longer term contract obviously guarantees his value too. Marbella just seems like a good place to be right now to play football. We saw what they were like when they played Atleti at La Rosaleda in the Copa del Rey early this month, and I think he'll thrive there. I think he'll have a very good season. Then he can assess his options at the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. They seem to be, well, they've had a bit of a wobble, I think, in recent weeks, and they are in the bottom half of that league, but they are a good club to be at, and obviously very local to Malaga. Are you happy with that move as well, Luke?
Yeah, it makes sense. Any player, it clearly wouldn't say out of favour. I just guess we've got stronger centre halves currently. I think any player being loaned out to Marbella makes total sense. You're not having to relocate as much. You're going down the coast. I know it's further than some people think. It's a good standard of football, and it's obviously where we was last season, and it's an ambitious club. Like you said earlier, Matt, they've currently sacked the manager. That could be a good thing for Musa. It could be a bad thing. I don't know where the plans are with Hightam still. There was a link with that. I see no negative thoughts towards this deal.
Yeah, and the Hightam thing's gone really quiet as well. Actually, now you mentioned that, I don't know. I know he's sort of come back into full training, and like you said, he's been linked to Marbella a lot. So he's.
I haven't had to see him go to Ceuta though, or either of them as well, which would be fun. Obviously we've got a soft spot for Ceuta, and they've got a beautiful kit. And they're thereabouts, I believe, in that league. I think just outside. Could have been fun to see Musa playing in the North African enclave as well. But fair play. Marbella is a great shout from too.
Yeah, absolutely. I might even go watch them next Saturday evening now before Malaga play their next home game against Zaragoza, which again we will preview later in the week. The only thing that puts me off Marbella is the €25 ticket price, which is mad. But
very marbs.
Yeah, very marbs.
About Primera, guys. Just what's fun about Primera. Do we know who's currently running away with the league in Primera? Antequera, which I think is very exciting.
Garlic, Antequera.
And I still want their manager. When Sergio has his day, their young manager, forgot his name now, but I'm sure he's on like 34, but he's going to be moving up them leagues. Molina, is it Molina?
Yeah, but we should say, like we just talked about on the live stream, so to bring it over here to the real podcast, we did talk about Castellon sacking the much revered Dick Schroeder tonight, or Dick Schroeder. Today, he's the one I want at Malaga. If we have to get anyone, he seems to have a plan and seems to be good. There's not really much other news. I think, again, another thing we mentioned on the live stream is just a big shout out to Atletico Malagueño, who have won 3-0 this weekend against Poli Almeria. No Chupete scoring. He did play an hour, and we thought, well, that means he must be bracing himself to get some minutes in the first team again, and having scored that late goal against Deportivo last weekend. But spoiler alert, we were not to see Chupete tonight, even though he was very much there on the bench and warming up. So let's go into the review of tonight's game. Like I said, it's only 10 minutes ago or so it finished. Let's go to the starting 11 first, though. I don't think there was any real shocks, and I think we've talked on this already on the live stream again. By the way, I think you can find the live stream, Nick, can't you, if you want to go back and watch football. But just to summarize things, I guess the thing we talked about more than anything was Sangali being in the starting 11. Of course, La Rubia's been injured. Aaron Ochoa Maloney's been in and out of the team. Kevin was not fit tonight, so there was that gap had to be filled. But yeah, Sangali was the chosen one. Luke, thoughts?
Random. I found this one a bit random. Can't really recall seeing Sangali get many, if any, minutes of late all season. In fact, definitely not a starter. Strange how it's taken till the middle of January to chuck him in the deep end. And I suppose now it's a tough place to go in terms of Mirandes. Great record at home and so on. I'm not going to single him out because I didn't think we was very good, but it was as if Sangali wasn't there. I saw no impact whatsoever from him.
No, I totally agree. I didn't notice him at all. And again, I've said I'm quite a big fan of him, but I'm starting to reflect on that now and think, why am I a big fan of him? Because I guess as well, like earlier in the season, Pellicer went with Juanpe over Sangali, and I think I'm right in saying the first game of the season we were absolutely unanimous in our decision of Juanpe being the first Biznaga of the season, and he's disappeared as well. So interesting.
Yeah, of Juanpe, that famous day in Ferrol.
Incredible, and recognized from the away end as well, where we were chanting his name quite a lot during the game because he was just unbelievable. But Sangali's not got to that level. Any thoughts on him starting, Nick, or his performance in general?
I would agree with Luke to an extent that he was quite anonymous, really, in what he did, and I'm struggling to think why, other than tactically, Pellicer has chosen to go with Sangali in there, because he's certainly not a number 10. He certainly doesn't bring you the same attributes that like a La Rubia or a Dani Lorenzo or a Ramon would bring. So unless he's decided he wants to play a flat defensive midfielder, all three of them, to negate maybe the influence of Reina or Ander Martin, then I can't see much reason for him to be there. What that does do, unfortunately, is it creates this huge chasm between Dione, Cordero, and Antonito and Lebete. And for me, it showed how deep Dione was having to drop to fill in that gap and to make things happen, which fair play to him in that first half. He did really, really well. I think the only other surprise for me was Victor Garcia starting ahead of Dani Sanchez. But I think someone rightly pointed out, you don't often see Dani Sanchez without Kevin. So if that's a genuine tactical change, maybe. But again, I think I've seen from Victor Garcia this season, he just looks a little bit slow. And I think that was maybe demonstrated a bit tonight as well, alongside others, especially when you've got, some players that can run a little bit riot for Mirandes.
Yeah, we should say, obviously doing the live stream tonight, we've had people put in messages in the comments. And I think you're right, actually. I've never really picked up on that Dani Sanchez, Kevin sort of combo so much. Obviously, we see on Instagram, they're quite pally on Instagram and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye out for, I think, actually. But yeah, I totally agree, actually. I think when we did after the Depot game, the podcast, and we spoke around everyone, and I think you rightly pointed out, Nick, that Dani Sanchez was definitely worth an honourable mention. And I was a bit annoyed that we hadn't talked about him until you mentioned him. So yeah, I get that as well. Yeah, I guess as well, there was a bit of talk about, Rocco perhaps finding his feet, but Dione was back in. So he kept his place up front. Carlos Puga back in after Joaquin had a bit of a tough afternoon, admittedly, against Yereme, who is, I think I said on the podcast, about as good a player as I've seen at this level. He was incredible. But Puga was back in, and obviously, yeah, I thought he did okay. We should mention as well, just, we talking about our starting 11. I think it's worth mentioning Mirandes as well. Maybe not so much their starting 11, but they didn't have a full bench tonight, because I think lots of people will be aware, especially if they listen to you guys at the start of the season, when we did the sort of, predictions and stuff, when I was still dicking around, traveling around Spain, that you guys, and I agreed with you, saying Mirandes were probably not even tips to go down, tips to finish bottom, because they didn't have a team or squad, and they patched things up very quickly, and it seems to have worked. So yeah, they didn't have a full bench, but it did include Alex Calvo, former Malaga youth darling, who ditched us when we got relegated, and did come on the pitch a bit later, but I don't think there's much else to say about him. Luke, obviously, Nick didn't join us till 20 minutes into the game. I was having a lot of technical issues, so I didn't really see the first 20 minutes. So give us a summary of how did Malaga start this game, or how was the game in the opening stages?
It kind of had a bit of a pre-season friendly feel to it. Neither team were looking after the ball. Neither team were attacking. I think Alfonso made his first save on about the 35th minute. Not even any usual get to the final third, then the crosses poke. And there was just nothing in the game. I think I remember Antonito being offside once. That was probably the talking point. Besides that, there was absolutely nothing. Just going back to what you said a minute ago, Matt, about Mirandes, you could probably be even stronger than that in terms of they were on the brink of collapse nearly. I think before the first game, literally 2 days before the first game, they had 9 players signed on.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's again, we've said it a lot. It's the story of their season. They're obviously a really good team. They're in the playoffs, so there's obviously a part of that makes you think, losing to them. By the way, I don't think we've mentioned the result. Malaga have lost 3-2. There shouldn't be any shame in that. Yeah, but it's still weird, because obviously we played them. Was this the first home game of the season?
Yeah, and we were bad that night. Night.
And Dione stole a goal, and we were like, fucking hell, we should be beating this shitty team that doesn't have any players. And then obviously as the weeks unfolded, we're like, all right, okay, they weren't so shitty because they kept beating everyone else. And it sort of highlighted that we did quite well to get a point against them. Yeah, there's I guess I think you joined just as it happened, Nick. The only real bright moment for Malaga until we get to the goals, Carlos Puga hitting the post with a decent volley. Happy to see him back in over Joaquin.
Yeah, it's what he brings you, isn't it? And the fact that he can be as assured in an attacking, persuasion than he can be as well in a defensive persuasion. He's just brilliant. And like you say, the fact he's got the confidence to take that shot away, it's a very good hit as well, for a right back, especially. I imagine that Luke Chambers used to pull those out on the regular every Saturday in the for Hatfield. Yeah, it's just a shame that it didn't go in. And it would have been a great goal if it had gone in. But yeah, from a really promising start to things for Malaga as far as this game was concerned. I thought we started the game really, really well.
Yeah, and I think we should mention as well, I think it was only when we saw the replay back that it did look like a very good save in the end to tip it onto the post. But actually, I'll stick with you, Nick, because we don't get to do this very often with you. He's your favourite. Dione got a bit of space down the left, passed the ball across. Manu Molina there with a lovely finish. He doesn't score that many goals for us. I'm even trying to think, when is the last time he scored? A lovely finish for him. So I'll let you have.
You should know this.
Yeah, I think the last goal he scored a penalty. If I remember rightly, I think it was a penny scored.
Did he?
Oh God!
No,
I think it was last season.
I don't think he scored this year.
No, but obviously a very well taken goal. For me, I would love to praise Molina for obviously the finish, because it's a really, really tidy finish, and he does brilliantly to run into the space where Dione's putting the ball, but take nothing away from Dione here. It's one of these moments where the assist is just as good as the goal itself, and his determination to win the ball back. And we've already mentioned that he's having to operate in a gap which is probably a bit bigger than he would like to do. He's 35 years old and a fan of eating bocadillos. For him to win the ball back where he does, puts it on a plate, and I genuinely think he's picked him out. I don't think he's just randomly crossed the ball. I think he's looking for Molina there. Yeah. And it's a very sweet connection, really nice goal, and again, not a kind of goal we score that often. We're this season, it's fair to say, I think we're a bit tapping merchanty, whereas we don't really score many screamers like this, do we?
No, it's only my boy Kevin Medina scores the screamers for us, it seems, and sadly not available tonight because Danny Sanchez wasn't there. Maybe, I think Luke, obviously, you can give your comments on the goal as well, but I think when we went 1-0 up and we were doing the stream, it felt very relaxed.
Yeah, Mirandes didn't trouble us at all. I couldn't see how they were going to break us down, because at that point, defensively, we were doing everything what we asked of him. Regarding the goal, Dione did fantastically well out wide, the pullback and the finish from Manu Molina. Just a bit of breakout trivia on that goal. So, who was Manu's last goal against?
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Manu's last goal was against Celta Vigo in the Copa del Rey for Ibiza on the 5th of May 2021. He's never actually scored for Malaga.
Do you know what? When I asked the question to Nick, I did think, I don't think he scored for us, but I thought there might be one in the London.
I thought he scored a penalty. Is that right?
Well, this was a penalty. I don't know if you knew Manu Molina back then, but this was a penalty.
I can tell you one thing, sure, he did not hit on my radar until he joined Malaga.
Going through Sophie scores, there he has not scored a single goal for Malaga.
He definitely stepped up to take a penalty, didn't he? And
Antonito, this was the Antonito penalty.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. There's something to celebrate tonight. We saw Manu goal for the first time. By the way, I've just moved places because the battery on my MacBook was dying because we've recorded for so long. But yeah, it was fun recording for so long until the second half where, yeah, things did seem to be quite steady. We were sort of chatting the usual shit because we didn't have much sort of going against us. But then there was one through ball from Mirandes to play in. I think it was Panicelli who played in, and yeah, Mirandes got a penalty, which they scored in the 57th minute. I suppose the first question, Nick, is I think we had a little bit discussion. Was it a penalty? And I think we all decided in the end it definitely was. And Herrero got booked as well. Are we still in agreement with that?
Yeah, I think we've argued the toss sometimes when they've been really conscientious, but for this one, even though I think he has committed to the old chop, the Danny Rowe chop, to give a mention to a complete random player on this podcast once more. He's obviously made a connection with him, and he's obviously taken his feet away from him a little bit with his leg, knee, whatever it was. And unfortunately, in this league, you're going to get caught out by doing that. There's VAR to double confirm, and that's what happened. The ref did the right thing, I think, as well. By not immediately making the decision, he trusted that he could get the information he needed to validate his decision. And yeah, unfortunately, I think everything just went wrong with that one. Take nothing away from the through ball, by the way, from Mirandes. It is a absolute peach of a through ball. Puga just keeping Panicelli on side.
A little bit unfortunate, I guess, where just Carlos Puga had his leg trailing behind him weirdly and played him on. But it was a good penalty, though. Luke is, Alfonso Herrera wasn't anywhere near it, was he?
No, and as we said on the live stream, I was trying to rally the troops in terms of, look, guys, it's Alfonso Herrera who's got a fantastic penalty saving record, but you're not saving them. You could probably have two goalkeepers in there and you're not saving that one.
Yeah, and then obviously they made it 2-1 with their centre back. Well, I thought he was a centre back. He seemed to pop up a lot. Gorocha, who I think I highlighted on the pod this week as the guy that has these crazy stats as most blocks, or like the second most blocks, the second most interceptions, a shitload of tackles. Yeah, they made it 2-1. Nick Bell, I've got written down here, Gorocha goal. Can you remind me how he scored?
I think it was, like you say, the pressure that came from them having, that corner and that insistence to get the ball back into the box. And it was just that little pullback for him and finding himself in space. And it's just a lovely finish into the bottom corner. Again, Herrero not where we want him to be, and I don't want to press this too much, but I think he looked a bit unfathomable tonight. Very flappy. But again, great goal. And, it really knocked the air out of us a little bit as well, especially after coming back from the return of the second half. And yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I'd say as well, Luke, now you've reminded me of the goal, that like when they played it out to the right, there seemed to be like loads of Mirandes players like in space on the right. And then there seemed to be loads of Mirandes players in space in the box as well. We looked a little bit all over the shop for that goal.
Yeah, I think every single one of them players who you just mentioned probably had 5 yards of space each as well. Just very, very lazy defending from Malaga, especially after just conceding a goal. You should really be switched on. It were a decent finish, but 18 yards out, 12 yards out, even where nobody's anywhere near, you expect the guy to score. He actually absolutely oozes of Basque as well. The name, the stats, absolute dog in that centre midfield. I just don't know. I think Malaga for the first 20 minutes that second half really, really struggled.
Unrecognizable to me. It's not like anything that we've seen before. We've conceded goals and had penalties scored against them. We've usually reacted quite well. This one we were, completely at sea. And I say that about everyone, which is why I lean into the dare I mention the notion that, even Alfonso Herrera looked human today. Do you know what I mean? Like,
stop it.
But for him to score that goal from where he was, like I say, I know it's a really tidy finish, but usually we can trust Alfonso Herrera to save a goal from anywhere. That's come through a crowd of players, and he's usually aware. But everyone's like, Einar is slow on this. Victor is, not reacting to the, overload of players on that right hand side for Mirandes. It's a catalogue of errors from Malaga, and we looked a shadow of ourselves.
Yeah, not to jump the gun as well. I think Luke said right at the end of the live stream that this did not, like, if you watch this game, it didn't feel like a 5-goal thriller.
No.
It didn't feel like, I think there must have been 5 chances in the game, maybe 6 or 7, and yeah, it's we did have a long chat on XG. I won't bring up XG. That's get people. I'm quite for
nonsense.
I like XG. I think it's a good stat, but we'll leave that for another podcast. But we perhaps weren't expecting a goal from our attacking midfielder David Larrubia, because he's not the most prolific of goal scorers, but he has had his moments this year. But he did come off the bench, having been injured for the past couple of weeks. And fair play to Mirandes. They defended a corner awful, and David Larrubia, Nick, was there just to, I was going to say tap in, I think, to sort of hit it at their goalie and it go through his legs.
Yeah, it's a good finish from David Larrubia, to be fair, and it's an eventual good reaction from Malaga, and a positive change from Pays there to bring on those attacking players to try and rescue the game a little bit. But for after they conceded the 2 goals, I actually thought Malaga started to grow back into the game again. Some of their possession-based football was really good. Larrubia, obviously with the goal, but was a really bright spark throughout, and every time he picked the ball up and cut inside, I think for that second half, he must have had 5 or 6 shots on goal, and he's obviously been rewarded with at least one of them, but positive contributions from, a player who's been out for a while. And I think, like I say, we looked good for it. I think if we would have said 2-2, we all would have come away from that game thinking, cool, that's all right. I'll take that. Another draw. It's the sucker punch at the end, which is the one that's really, made Blue Monday horrendous.
I guess we should perhaps mention that obviously that was a good sub. We sort of touched upon at the start, Luke. Chupete, no appearance from Chupete in the end. We brought on Rocco Batterina off the bench, and then we brought on Aaron Ochoa and Yanis Romani off the bench. Were you surprised not to see Chupete, and were you annoyed not to see Chupete?
Both surprised and annoyed. I think after, like Nick said, then after Larrubia got the equaliser, I thought 5 minutes after that would have time to with Chupe time, as we like to say. I mean, why not hit him whilst the iron's hot? He's bagging goals for fun. From what we're reading on socials, the Malagueño fixture time were basically all planned for Chupete to get his first team moment once more. Like I said on live stream, I don't understand taking a player all that way on a Monday night and so on when you've probably got Sergio, for me, by bringing Rocco on in that situation, knew Chupete wasn't coming on. Because in my eyes, at 2-2 with 20 minutes left, why not bring that young, unheard of striker who's got bags of confidence at the moment, can't stop scoring, or do you bring Rocco Batterina on, who a defender knows what you're going to get from him, a big, strong lad. He's not gonna turn you inside out. I just really thought it was a missed opportunity at 2-2.
But yeah, like I say, where's the reward for it though? That's the thing that gets me, and it's this insistence on, okay, we're going to bring Rocco on. We mentioned it. Rocco scored a goal against Estepona in the Copa del Rey, and he scored that, admittedly brilliant goal against Sporting Gijon just before Christmas. But he's played all those games. He's started games. He's made lots of substitute appearances. he's still in this league scored just as many goals as Chupete, who's played a cumulative 25 minutes of football this season.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So why not? Why does he, other than being older, it's the only way I can say, the only thing that being he is older, is he getting in ahead of Chupete for doing that? There must be something about it.
Matt, I think you said it on the preview show to this game. Chupete seems very Roberto-esque. He'll work his bollocks off up there. Defenders don't like that kind of thing. Why not create a new Roberto out of Chupete? Why do we have to wait and wait and wait? I mentioned a few times on the lives, the kid's contract goes at the end of the summer. If people, I can't really see why too many teams will be looking at him currently. But if Chupete comes in and bags one or two more, somebody dives in there because Malaga's being lazy and not actually thinking, we've got a good centre forward here. Let's wait and wait on Rocco Batterina.
You say no one looking at him, but like there'll be people that will be looking at him, and whether it's people at other clubs who want him to go and join their youth teams, or whether he'll get his chance elsewhere, or whether it's some of the teams that we've mentioned in this podcast, your Antiqueras, your Marbella's, who think, well, there's a lad who knows how to score and he lives locally, let's bring him in for nothing.
The thing is, he's not a kid anymore. He's 21, is he?
Yeah.
This is his time, surely.
Yeah, and also
there's nothing you don't want to do is put on Rocco Batterina against three centre backs, because he doesn't offer you anything like that. He doesn't sit in the channel like Chupete did against Deportivo. He just floats. You know, he's
what does that do tonight for Chupete? A guy whose confidence is sky. He's the top boy for Malagueño. You've done what you've done in La Saleda. You saved a point. You've got 29,000 fans jumping up, singing your name. Then you go to Mirandes and you don't even get a minute. How do they feel on that bus or plane or whatever it is on the way home now? Surely, fucking hell.
And I think Nick has sort of touched upon it a little bit there as well. But Pellicer's made that decision, and obviously Rocco's a big lad, but I can't say I noticed him at all after he came on. So it did not work either, because obviously he must have had a bit of a confidence boost, because that goal against Sporting Gijon was spectacular. Actually, that was a brilliant goal. But
it also seems a hell of a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's his strength though? I can't put my finger on what Rocky does. We're either not playing to his style of football, so we've not seen it. Is he a target man? Is he a false nine? Is he?
I think I think he does actually weirdly have, like, when he's got a good shot on him, it seems, because he's had a few pops at goal which have come close. And obviously, like that goal he scored against
he hit the post against El Dense.
Yeah, that was
famous.
But yeah, but like. Yeah, I agree though, Nick. I'm still not 100% sure, because he is, like, obviously I went to that game at Ferrol and he did seem to keep their defenders busy. And I thought, okay, like, this guy's a good option, but I've not seen that enough since. Well, enough, I'd even argue at all. He's, I don't know. But like we said, David Rubia made it 2-2. It looked to be fairly flat after that. I don't think either club or either team were like really going for it. But very sadly, Mirandes did score in the 91st, 92nd minute. Joel Roca with a goal that just sort of, I don't know, came from nowhere, Luke. It seemed to be, they made a little dink tackle and suddenly they were bursting down our wing and passing a goal. And I didn't even know where to start with that goal. It just looked a mess.
Yeah, for me, off the top of my head, this is the worst goal we've conceded all season. By that, I mean on the 93rd minute, effectively, is Aynard and Nelson Monte our strongest partnership? I know Pastor's done well, but I'd be leaning towards yes. How can your centre-half pairing, or even all the defence, end up on the 93rd minute at 2-2 when Malaga aren't chucking bodies forward? It's not like we've been caught on a counter attack. how can you end up with a back four where your left back's nearly 10 yards away from your right back? It's effectively, like I mentioned on the lives, an attacking rugby formation. Their boy's jogging through, and then he's got the freedom of the box to himself. Fair enough if that happened, you get caught out early on, but that cannot happen on the 93rd minute of a game.
Yeah, I agree. And, and he has a free shot at goal against Alfonso Herrera. Even Alfonso's a bit like, how is he's it's not his fault, but it happened so fast. He's way out of position because it's happened so fast. Anything to add, Nick?
That Panicelli's a bit good at football, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's the kind of striker which you would hope a Rocco or a, maybe not to a lesser extent Dione, but certainly a Castel, that big, powerful, tall striker who can do a bit of everything. He was great at winning the ball in the air, and when he needed to, as we saw with that final goal, he can, run past his man and play in the shoulder. I think he had Einar on absolute skates for this one. Einar didn't even know it happened to him by the time it had happened. And it's, punishment for our own mistake again. 3 big mistakes from Malaga, whether it's, playing them onside and committing the penalty foul, the lack of being aware of the overload from the corner, and then here being caught out, sleeping massively. And we've been punished for 3 huge errors, all of our own making.
Yeah, and I just realised, Nick, I don't think we really give him a lot of credit for the penalty he scored, where he did bury her in the far corner and sent Alfonso Herrera the wrong way as well. So, yeah, he did look really good. And I think, again, we mentioned on the live stream, he is on loan from Alaves. Be interesting to see where his career is going. Young Argentine. So, yeah. And, very sadly that Malaga was sort of looking up towards the playoff places for a little bit, and now Mirandes have streamed away and they're up into, I think they're third or fourth now.
Third. Do you remember when we were talking about promotion for that 5 minutes after the goal went in? We were like genuinely thinking, right, what we're going to do with who we signed in La Liga? What's we're going to play at? That feels a long time ago.
We should say as well, the next game's quite interesting because we are still 11th in the league. So we're bottom of the top half, but our next game is against 12th, which is top of the bottom half in Zaragoza. So we will be previewing that game Thursday. And we do have, unless things change, we do have Liam Bambridge of the Spanish Segunda show joining us. But let's start wrapping things up here. Let's go into Chumbo and Biznaga. I've been thinking, guys, this is tough, but I do very tough. I do have 2 written down, and I'm not fully behind either. So I'll go to you first, then, Luke, since you went, this is tough. So give me your Chumbo.
Honourable mention for Sergio Pellicer. I think he got a couple of things wrong today. But my Chumbo's got, and I don't want to just pick the guy out because he's not really started or anything, but I just think Sangale were a waste of a player tonight.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think I've got 2 names written down. He's my other one I've got written down. So Luke, I'm not Luke. I've just spoke to Luke. Nick.
Sangale's one of the names I've got written down as well. I've kind of already hinted towards it. I generally think, if we're going to put Alfonso Herrera on a pedestal when he's playing well, we've got to call him out when he's not playing so well. So I've said that he'll be an honourable mention. Victor Garcia for me in this game is my Chumbo. I feel for him because I feel like at the Primera level, he's a brilliant player. He's a Rolls Royce at that level. I think he's been found out at Segunda. I don't think he can handle it. And I think that's why we're very unsure in that left back spot. We haven't got an out-and-out left back who I would trust. And I think that's why we've maybe even mooted having Joaquin or Puga back there instead, because we don't have a left back which I would confidently trust to perform at this level week in, week out. And it's a shame from where Victor was last season to where he is now.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with. I think I think the two players you guys are going Chumbo are definitely two I would mention. I'm not going to go for Alfonso Herrero. I wouldn't dare. But mine is someone different though. I think we've mentioned him. I've gone for Einar.
Yeah,
we conceded 3 goals in the second half, and he didn't look as good as Pasto. But the two you've said, I think, are very legitimate choices.
I totally agree with you on that one as well, Matt. And obviously, we've still got the comments turned on here. Owen, he's put Einar as well, and rightly so. He looked miles off it tonight. Again, granted, he was playing against Panicelli, but he's not a world beater. Einar should be able to deal with this, and he got ran ragged.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know it's very difficult to find positives after losing 3-2 in injury time, but let's try and find a Biznaga. I only have one name written down, to be honest with you, so I'll be quite curious who you guys have dug up for this as well. So I'll start with you again, Luke. Who are you going with Biznaga?
Well, this was the hard bit because I personally don't think anybody did much at all. The one guy what I did notice more than anybody, I guess, is Luithmi. Again, I just thought he caught play quite a lot. Without him in the team, I don't think we'd be half as good of a unit as what we are. Again, really tough one, but yeah, for me, it's Luithmi.
Yeah, just before I asked Nick, I can still see with the live stream still going. If people want to drop it in a comment very quickly, I'll read them out. But you've only got a minute or so. Nick, what about you?
It's a tough one, this one. Like I say, I agree with Luke with Luismi. I thought he was, really good once again. What you expect from Luismi, to be fair. I don't want to give it to Dione because I really thought he put in a shift, especially in that first half, kind of having to do the job that Sangali should have been doing, as well as obviously being, a striker and being, the assister to Manu Molina's goal. So, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going for Dione today.
Okay, that's cool because I think Luke is. I think it's a great shout, Luismi. I hadn't really thought of him, but yeah, he was good. But yeah, the name I've got written down is Dione. I thought he was not spectacular, and it's probably the softest Biznaga I'm ever going to give out. But I thought he was, particularly in the first half, he is the only one I thought was doing stuff. And actually, I don't know, he looked slimmer to me. I don't know if something's happened over Christmas, or he looked a little bit more like athletic. I don't know what it was about him.
I think we said it on the live. I think we said it on the live. Dione played a good number 10 today. If you had a number 9, a goal scorer sat on your bench, high on confidence, to just pop in front of Dione.
You know what? I thought in the Depot game when Chupetti came up, he did something similar. Actually.
That's what I mean. It works. It can work.
Complemented each other quite well in that Depot game, didn't they?
And exactly. I thought he was better once he dropped back than he was before Chupetti came on. So, but yeah, not like we said, it is Blue Monday. Not a happy time for Malaga, but we will say, thank you to those that joined us on the live stream tonight. As always, really good fun. Apart from the final result, I will say so. Thank you to you guys. I'll say thank you to Nick Bell, who joined us slightly belatedly, but you saw as much football as me, Nick.
No, always a pleasure to join and watch football with you boys, even when we lose. It's the company, isn't it?
It is indeed. We're a social folk, aren't we? And thank you, Luke Chambers, for holding it together for those opening few minutes when I was shouting at Vodafone TV and telling my TV to fuck off quite a lot.
Pleasure as always, mate. And just seconding and thirding that, thank you to everybody in the comments. Without you guys, it wouldn't be worthwhile. It's been fun, apart from the football, but we go again on Sunday. So vamos Malaga. Yeah,
and Sunday, and I'll just throw it out there as well in case people are about the Spanish Segunda show. Of course, we have a partnership on this podcast. They are doing their Spanish Segunda meetup this weekend, and they're having a weekend which does involve going to La Rosaleda. So definitely come along for that if you're about. And meet the Spanish Segunda folk. They've been very good to us, especially Alex and Liam, giving us previews of teams we don't know much about, when we don't know about, I don't know, El Dense's number 9, or, you know, the right back for Racing Ferro.
Guys, let's remember, there's more Zaragoza fans out of that bunch than anything. Vamos Malaga. Vamos Malaga. That's what we say.
Yeah, so if you want to join us, but obviously we do have a preview show coming up later in the week, so come and join us for that as well. But yeah, this is the review show this time, so thank you for joining us. I know it's been a bit different. I will say thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Adios and vamos Malaga.